Welcome to episode 4 of But Why? This series answers questions about Christianity's basics. I can't cover every detail. I'm just trying to give quick and faithful answers that get more conversations started. Today's question is, why do Christians believe in Jesus' resurrection? To begin, let me read my favorite Easter story. This is after Jesus has arisen from the dead. It reads, "A week later, Jesus' disciples were in the house again. Thomas was with them. Even though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them. He said, 'May peace be with you.' And he said to Thomas, 'Put your finger here, see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe.' Thomas said to him, 'My Lord and my God.' Then Jesus told him, 'Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen me, but still have believed.' Jesus performed many other signs in front of his disciples. They're not written down in this book, but these are written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. And if you believe this, you will have life because you belong to him." Jesus' resurrection convinced Thomas of who he really was. And it's still the central reason for endorsing the Bible and claiming with certainty that God exists and visited this planet. The Bible teaches Jesus claimed to be God and proved it by rising from the dead. Now, this is either a legend, or if Jesus did exist and claimed to be God, he could have been lying, or he could have been crazy. But if none of that works with the historical data, the remaining and the best answer is that Jesus is who he claimed to be, God Almighty. So if you just look at the bare minimal facts that nearly all scholars agree on, and I mean Christian and non-Christian historical experts alike, it's like if you had Republicans and Democrats agreeing on something, all right? These are things that are backed by sources outside the Bible and quality historical research. Here's 5 things that we would know about the historical Jesus. Number 1, he was killed by crucifixion. 2, his disciples claimed to see him resurrected. 3, the skeptic James was converted. 4, the persecutor Paul was converted. And 5, his tomb was empty. Now this shows that Jesus isn't just a legend. He is a real historical figure, whether you believe he's God or not. Now, Jesus as a liar just doesn't account for his death, which he could have escaped by renouncing his claim to be God. He was given lots of opportunities to do so. And so we're left with crazy or God. Jesus' resurrection, it makes the most logical sense, considering those who claim to see him raised were willing to suffer and die for their claim. Even his skeptic brother and the persecutor Paul, they were converted after claiming to see Jesus resurrected. They also died for that claim. Now that's not like me dying for my faith in Jesus. That might prove that I'm sincere, but I could be sincerely wrong. These guys, on the other hand, they were in a position to know if they had seen the risen Jesus or if they were lying. Their martyrdom proves they believed their claim of seeing the risen Jesus, and there were hundreds of people that saw him risen from the dead. So, what is the best answer? Jesus indeed arose from the dead, which crazy people don't do. I don't care how crazy they are. Jesus claimed to be God. He said he would rise from the dead to prove it, and then he arose from the dead proving it. Jesus is God. You know, Jesus shows up in ancient literature outside the Bible, like Jewish leaders writing about him in the Talmud, or Roman officials and Jewish historians that wrote entries about Jesus in their letters and their records. These historical accounts of Jesus from people who even were against him and his church, they help even skeptic scholars verify those minimal facts we've been talking about. But still, at the end of the day, the very best place to discover Jesus is in the 4 Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And I strongly encourage you to give them a read.